Hello, my name is Carson Latat. I'm a graduate associate with the Global Teach Ag Network here at Penn State University, and I'm here to talk to you today about GLAG 21 Taking Action, the seventh installment of our Global Learning in Agriculture conference that happens online each February. I'll give you a little bit of background about the conference and talk about the significance of it and the objectives that we are working through. I'll talk about the outline and the resources we need to pull off a conference of this size, as well as the deliverables that come out of this conference. So first and foremost, introducing you to a couple of the acronyms that we're working with. GLAG, which stands for Global Learning in Agriculture, began as a conference in person back in 2014. And that was sort of a debrief from a Fulbright Hays trip, and it's evolved now into a digital conference that spans an entire week. And the significance of this is that a lot of educators, especially those that we are working with in the field of agricultural education, as well as educators broadly defined in 4-H, as well as other maybe government capacities around the world, are looking for ways for professional development and to build learning communities. And so focusing in on a couple of our objectives, we're looking for opportunities for global learning. We're looking to share scholarship in that global learning and agriculture lens. We're looking to share best practices and provide immersion experiences for the educators that are buying into GLAG. And finally, we want to develop and engage in innovation and collaborative research, so that way any educator that's participating in GLAG is going to be privy to a larger community with that global lens. Looking at some of the outlining of this program, once again, GLAG is a week-long conference, and what we've seen is even despite the pandemic this year and some of that Zoom fatigue, we actually more than doubled our participation in GLAG 21. And part of the reason for this is the resources that we have available, including our global partners, which is 28 different academic institutions as well as corporate institutions that come together to provide us not just sponsorship opportunity, but collaboration opportunity. And so they provide content for some of our side events. They do some hosting. They're providing content as well for research that's in the field. And they're really giving us the enrichment we need to give this conference a differentiation from other conferences on that online platform. Speaking of online platforms, we use a few, including Whova, Congregate, Zoom, and Cvent. Cvent handles our registration. Zoom is our general meeting platform. Congregate's used for our small side group meetings, and Whova is our main platform. You can kind of think of it like a page for a social media account, but more evolved to be able to handle all the logistics of the conference. And I'll take you on a tour of some of those deliverables that we're looking at. First and foremost, we have a complete collection of curated online and on-demand recordings, and these are coming from educators in the field as well as some of our global partners. And we featured 18 of those recordings for educators who are participating in the conference to watch at any time at their leisure. Also, watching at their leisure asynchronously, educators can look in on some of the research that's happening in the field through GLAG World Tour, as well as the side events. These start to now leave the asynchronous format, and these are live. So during the week, we have these side events that our global partners help us run as a way to collaboratively connect. And these are some of those traditional workshops that would be happening in person but online. And finally, the week culminates in the Friday Live event, where for a few hours we all gather together and hear from a panel of experts as well as our keynote. And this year that was Dr. Jennifer Williams. One of the things we wanted to try this year was a way to form communities that were a little bit more intimate. And so we launched GLAGGLE for the 2021 conference. That's the Global Learning in Agriculture Group Learning Experience. And this paved the way for 72 participants from 10 different countries to share in dialogues of best practice, as well as to connect in a way that many of our educators who participate in GLAG were looking for. And finally, as we walk away from GLAG, we look at a couple of the numbers that were most meaningful to us. And that first one is that we were able to garner 40 different countries to participate in GLAG, which is significant growth from last year. We had 4.7 million Twitter impressions, confirming our activity on social media that serves a benefit to connect educators together. And finally, almost 10,000 messages on Whova, which means that community was very active. And going forward, we'll continue to provide an inclusive and impactful experience that promotes personal collection for all GLAGs to come. Thank you very much for the presentation, and I'll entertain any questions that you may have.